Ah yes, Street Fighter 2, the classic fighting game franchise that elevated its entire respective genre to another level. Ever since the mass market success of Street Fighter 2, Capcom have been all about maximising their IPs across the video game medium. While the cast of Street Fighter are mostly known for their appearances as playable characters in one-on-one fighting games, the brand's popularity and marketability has led to them being relied upon regularly on other occasions too. Examples of this have included Capcom actively exploring the puzzle game genre with Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, the RPG world in the various Project X Zone titles, party fighters with appearances in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise, and even basic platformers with the much derided Street Fighter 2010 The Final Fight, with, believe it or not, this character actually being Ken Masters. Each of these ventures have had mixed results, but continue to provide proof of how valuable Chun-Li and company are to their parent entity. Games like Puzzle Fighter remain great fun to play, and thanks to the recent Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, can be enjoyed on current consoles. Even Street Fighter 2010 has had a few re-releases on Nintendo's Virtual Consoles, so we can't pretend they're lost titles by any stretch of the imagination. One title, on the other hand, has not only remained permanently exclusive to Japan, but, as things stand, has even been delisted, meaning there is no way we can currently access this one ourselves. Is this the most culturally unique iteration of the franchise, or is this simply one of the most preposterous cash-ins and Street Fighter games in all of existence? Let's find out. So with all of this said, hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. Let's look at the stupidest looking Street Fighter game ever. Yeah. But first, a word about today's sponsor. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun and affordable. That's why it's a world-leading meal kit. You've got New Year's goals and HelloFresh is here to help you achieve them. Skip the grocery store and take control of your time and budget with delicious recipes straight to you. Fast and fresh recipes, HelloFresh's latest line of meals featuring robust flavours and filling portions are ready in less than 15 minutes. Enjoy taste and quality done quick with a huge range of recipes to choose from. For this video, I cooked my favourite, festive roast beef and big pigs in blankets with gravy, roast potatoes, honey roasted root veg and green beans. Ooh, a delicious succulent meal any time of year in my opinion. What makes HelloFresh even better? Their meals are easy to cook and are affordable. HelloFresh helps many people save money all year round. In fact, HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% cheaper than takeout. It's time to become a filthy commoner who at least gets to eat like royalty. So try HelloFresh. Just click the link below for 21 free meals plus free shipping and try HelloFresh today. Yeah! To fully understand today's topic, we need to first take a step back to acknowledge and try to understand Japan's unique dual love of both horse racing and sumo wrestling. In fact, it's difficult to tell what Japanese men love more, as they seem to extract as much mutual enjoyment from gazing at tiny gentlemen riding big muscular stallions as they do from staring at big sweaty nappy wearing fatties tossing each other around. While horse racing itself goes back centuries in the island nation, what would be commonly recognised as modern horse racing began in the 1860s, when a British resident organised them on the drained marshlands outside of Yokohama. You see, we have enjoyed riding stallions in my country even longer than the Japanese. Just ask Prince Harry how he lost his virginity. As for this equestrian performance sport, there are two major organisations that run racing throughout Japan nowadays, the National Association of Racing and the Japan Racing Association. The former handles local races at smaller tracks, while the latter handles races at the Big Ten courses in the country. Meanwhile, sumo wrestling is the national sport of the country, with references to the sport going over a century past. In contrast to how horse racing had its revival in the 1860s, sumo was considered an embarrassment in the Western-influenced decade. It took until 1884 when Emperor Meiji reinvigorated the sport with tournaments, leading to the eventual Japan Sumo Organisation being founded in the 1920s, and quickly becoming the iconic sport that still thrives to this day. This isn't to portray Japan as a monoculture devoid of sporting diversity. Oh no. Japan is also known for their love of football, known as soccer to you Yanks, and baseball. In fact, Capcom did end up making Mega Man Soccer and the imaginatively titled Capcom Baseball. And with horse racing being a bit more universal, with the late great Queen of England being a particular fan, that leaves sumo wrestling as a truly unique to Japan experience, as the rest of the world are still yet to jump on the fat, sweaty, nappy hype train. Obviously, when it comes to sumo wrestling and Capcom, one character comes to mind. So, big drum roll to introduce Capcom's most iconic sumo wrestler character of all time. It's Gan Isaraguri of rival schools united by fate and Project Justice fame. What an icon! Gan's moveset over both titles is heavily influenced by sumo, but doesn't stick to the exact requirements of the sport. But at least there is another sumo character who Capcom have also embraced. I am of course referring to a little known fighter known as E Honda, who showed up in the second Street Fighter game, who has been making sporadic appearances ever since. Showing up in the likes of Alpha, 4, 5, the soon to be 6 and the Capcom vs SNK line, this man with his crazy flying headbutt is getting about. A bit more embarrassingly, he was also one of the main characters in the bloated Street Fighter the movie game, and well, movie, so there's also that. The Shadaloo Combat Research Institute highlights his love of sumo with the following description.
Here's the star of the sumo world, a man who battles fighters from around the world in order to promote the greatness of sumo. E Honda is a popular sumo wrestler that is always a topic of discussion because of his amazing abilities. While he's a mere Ozeki class warrior, he has the ability and strength of a Yokozuna champion. He preaches about daily morning practices, but he also enjoys a dip in his favorite hot springs, Kabukonyo. Honda is also traveling the world with his friend Hakan in search of new disciples, and of course, new food.
E Honda's love of sumo would be recognised and championed further when he was given perhaps his most pivotal gaming role yet. Or most ridiculous, depending on how you look at it. You see, Capcom would end up partnering with the real-world Japan Sumo organisation, creating a promotional browser-based game known as Japan Sumo Cup Yokozuna vs Street Fighter. Perhaps the stupidest Street Fighter game that has ever existed. Unfortunately, this title has fallen to the wayside of playability in 2023, with it looking to be impossible to play online. Going to the official site leads to this account has been suspended, with the game never receiving any sort of home console port to help preserve this madness. On the subject of such insanity, what exactly was this game, and who else was in it? Well, booting up the game presented players with an odd mishmash of character designs and graphical stylings. The UI, including the health bars and the like, are clearly taken from Street Fighter 4, but when you actually see the character models, they look more like something from Sega's arcade fighters from the 1990s, or even, for a deeper cut, Street Fighter EX. The very first time the legendary Street Fighter roster were playable with polygon visuals. But just because a lot of the graphical assets line up with Street Fighter 4, not all is linked with such an iteration in the series, as Necalli is included for example. This provides an even further incongruity, as he wasn't introduced until Street Fighter 5, and doesn't exactly fit in with the 4 elements. Add in that the statue from Sagat's stage can frequently be seen in the background, and the real world sumo wrestlers have digitised portraits, and we truly have a mishmash of eras and elements. This game is like a fever dream. Gameplay wise, the title is essentially a knockoff of the Taiko Drum Master franchise, a series that has proven to be rather popular in Japan over the years. These games feature symbols moving horizontally across a timeline, which shows what to hit and when. In this strange Street Fighter sumo horse racing game, players tap 2 buttons in succession alongside the music, which thankfully at least was rather appropriately taken from mainline Street Fighter games, so at least we have that. After all, everyone knows Guile's theme goes with everything. In this rhythm-based lunacy, players will also be challenged to hold and rapidly hit, much like both the Drum Master franchise and the way E Honda, Chun-Li and Blanka would do their rapid hit attacks. It doesn't look like the most immersive gameplay, but given that this was meant to be played in your computer browser, 2 buttons is all you would have really needed. Once the race began, all gameplay for the player would be this rhythm game, but the results played out in incredible fashion on the screen. Beyond basic horse racing, it often quickly devolved into chaos. Ryu would begin doing repetitive Shoryukens while riding his horse, with your sumo wrestler maybe beginning to do their imitation of the legendary 100-hand slap to gain more speed. I'm not sure on the science behind it, but I guess it works. I guess in order to truly get into the craziness, you need to know who all the characters you would have encountered in this game are. The World Warriors, for example, would be represented in the following combinations. To start, the sumo wrestler justifying the sumo crossover, E Honda, teams up with Epiphania, a name I am doubtful I am pronouncing even close to correctly. Using his sumo headbutt may be a questionable manoeuvre in a horse race, and in sumo wrestling for that matter, but Honda seemed to never have a problem with it. Ryu would join up with TM Opera O in the team, TM Opera Ryu, with his special Shinku Hadouken being available. Ryu fires it facing behind, giving him a bit of a boost. Dalsim teams up with Kodal in the, well, Dalsim and Kodal combination, but the Indian warrior brings his yoga teleport to the race. No, you're not seeing things either. Dalsim's got a special exemption and is allowed to ride his pet elephant in the game because, well, he's Indian. Kodal's parents were killed by Balrog, and much like Dalsim's immediate family, Kodal has been featured in a number of his endings over the years. Blanka and the fitting Jungle Pocket unleash the iconic rolling attack as the team Jungle Blanka. Blanka manages to grab a hold of his horse and begins rolling forward with it, just as one would expect from this green Goliath. If any fighter would be appropriate to join horse racing, it's no doubt Chun-Li with her stallion-like legs. She partners with Gently Donna in the Chun-Li Donna team, and she can use her classic spinning bird kick to gain an advantage. Hailing from the States, Guile teams up with Golden Pheasant, with Golden Feguile powered by his trademark Sonic Boom. M. Bison, aka the Dictator, known as Vega in the country, partners with Lando to form Vega Lando, unleashing his Psycho Crusher mid-race. Imagine him pulling that off in the middle of a contest, using a Psycho Crusher to launch a horse at you. You wouldn't know it hit you.
My head!
Of course though, the wrath of the raging demon is unleashed by Akuma, known as Goki in the region. And lastly, marking the only Street Fighter V character to appear in the title, Necalli teams up with Mezi Dose and unleashes his torrent of power as Necalli Dose. Ryu, E Honda and Akuma would be unlockable players, while Necalli wouldn't require to be unlocked to be played as, which makes sense as who would want to go to the effort to unlock such a terrible character. 4 other combinations of horses and real-world sumo wrestlers would be available. The teams Kitalik, Hakuho Impact, Haruma Vista and Vodka Kuryu would all pair a notable sumo wrestler with a famous horse. As this title was released in 2015 to promote sumo and horse racing to a younger, more Street Fighter focused audience, it may have done its job a bit too well for their promotional partner, as Capcom continued to produce Street Fighter V and 6. Obviously, the continuing success of the Street Fighter franchise in the 21st century can no doubt be traced to the domination this lost media title provided in the mid-aughts. So let's be thankful to the stupidest Street Fighter game ever for assisting to keep the brand's seriousness intact. Thinking about it, where's my sequel to Sumo and horse racing? Will Sumo 2 be available on the Nintendo Switch Pro that gaming news channels always talk about? At the end of the day, Japan Sumo Cup Yokozuna vs Street Fighter is one of the weirdest side stories in the Street Fighter universe. While Ken may moonlight as a cyber warrior in the distant year of 2010, Sakura may return to her high school roots in a school fighting game, and the heroes may somewhat regularly fight the denizens of the Marvel Universe. There is no doubt that Yokozuna vs Street Fighter, on the other hand, is one of the few times we've ever seen the characters interacting with animals, or even real-world athletes. Going forward, I guess this gives us the expectation that the horses and sumo wrestlers may very well end up upping their game in the future, perhaps getting to a level whereby they can compete in the World Warrior Tournament themselves. Hopefully these sumos who are household names in Japan and the likes of Horse will be DLC fighters in Street Fighter 6 down the line. Anyway, until this magic becomes a reality, for now, Japan's Sumo Cup Yokozuna vs Street Fighter remains the stupidest Street Fighter game that has ever existed. I would once again like to thank HelloFresh for sponsoring this video, which don't forget you can try by just clicking the link below for 21 free meals plus free shipping today. Anyway, if you enjoyed this one, why not check out my video on the rejected Street Fighter 2? Yeah! Cheerio.